until a few years ago, the dioceses in Ohio celebrated the Ascension on what would have been last Thursday, 40 days after Easter, but the bishops voted to move it to Sunday. The downside of doing that, of course, is that it can get lost amid the Sunday commemorations because it has its own readings and so forth, but it is indeed what we are commemorating today. Outside in the gathering area, I should say, we have a beautiful 3-panel stained glass display of the classical depiction of Jesus ascending into heaven. The Ascension is given to us as if to suggest that Jesus disappeared. And the way that this is brought out is in the image of a cloud. Jesus went behind the cloud. Now, we have to be careful about being simplistic. I mentioned this before, but the famous Life magazine story many years ago about the Soviet cosmonaut who went up into space. And he came back down from space. He said he was more convinced than ever that God didn't exist because he didn't see him then. I mean, one cannot take a spacecraft and enter into heaven. It's impossible. Because heaven is beyond the limits of space and time. It's the mysterious realm of God. Now, when we pray the Lord's Prayer, we say, "Our Father who art in heaven." It doesn't mean to suggest that God is far, far away in this mysterious place called heaven, although he does abide in heaven. But he abides in the souls of all of the holy people on earth. When St. Therese made her first communion, and she was very astute, no professional theologian, but she was a theologian in a practical sense. She said, "A piece of heaven came into me." Piece of heaven, of course, being Jesus. Heaven is really about a relationship with God and with the blessed. The blessed mean friends of God. We know what it means to have a communion. Well, most people have friends, and I suppose sometimes you can find a person who has no friends, which is very sad. Some people are very lonely, but many people have friends. They have a certain comfort level with particular people. But the greatest union or communion of people, even in this world, consists of people who are holy, because you don't have the backbiting, gossip. You don't have pettiness. Now, you may have people tempted to those things, because even holy people in this world are not perfect people. But in heaven, everybody is perfect, which means complete peace. And there's joy because the heart possesses what it has longed for since our conception. What is the deepest longing of the human heart? The deepest longing of the human heart is God. Now, people in this world don't always recognize that, so they think that they want something, but they can't put their finger on it. And sometimes they write off religion because they don't understand it, so they end up running after things that really won't make them happy. Sometimes very sinful things. So heaven is the blessed union of those who are perfectly incorporated in Christ, holy people we call the saints, who enjoy the repose, the refreshment, the light and peace of God. The book of Revelation, it says, in the city of God, the Lamb will be its light, meaning to say that God is the sun, S-U-N, if you will, of heaven, shining light on this eternal city. God reminds us of himself in different ways. He reminds us of heaven if we have eyes to see. Once I made a pilgrimage to Poland, visited some of the places connected to Pope John Paul, and then we went to the death camp called Auschwitz. Now, Auschwitz, of course, was a very dark place. But there was one prisoner in cell number 18 through whom the light of God shone. Who was this man in cell number 18? This man was a Catholic Franciscan priest named Maximilian Kolbe. And Maximilian Kolbe had voluntarily taken the place of another man who was sentenced to death because that man was a family man. And Maximilian didn't want a man with a wife and children to have to die. So Maximilian said, I'll go in his place, which astonished the guards, but they took him. Well, what Maximilian did in this terrible place of inhumanity was he led people in hymns, he encouraged them in their faith. He was a shining beacon in the dark world to the people. And he refused to respond in kind to the sadistic guards. There was a little piece of heaven in that man's heart because he was filled with God. And I'm sure his witness assisted many people. And that's really our mission in this world, is to live the faith, to keep the faith, and to encourage other people in doing so. Recently, a policeman gave a testimony to me. He said that he had stopped a woman in a routine traffic situation, and he talked with her, and so forth. And at the end of which encounter with her, he said to her, God bless you. Well, the woman was very upset with him and went to the superior. One of your policemen said, God bless you. The superior was apparently a very solid individual. He said, you know, ma'am, that's your problem. We cannot be ashamed of our faith. The religion that many people have adopted in our culture is political correctness. We can't get to heaven through political correctness. Only Jesus can take us to heaven. Jesus said, I am the way and the truth and the life. If we don't live our faith and keep it to the end, we will never see God, and we will never experience the blessed communion of the saints. If we have dear friends who are in heaven and we're not there, we'll never see them again. But people who are in hell don't want communion with other people. They don't want God. They don't want joy. But then not wanting these things, that's the source of their eternal misery. So during this short time in this world, we have an urgent call to responsibility and to continual conversion. We should live lives of hope. Hope means we know what God has in store for those who love Him. It's not on the basis of our own merits, but through His grace. We're faithful to Him. We'll never regret it. Even if we have a very difficult life, many people do. Sickness, financial difficulties, many other things. Hold on to the faith.